Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of my 13 Years Haunted series. So to quickly recap what's gone on, in 2018 around June time, the activity in the house heightened. I started hearing things running up and down the stairs and banging on doors, and this activity sort of spread throughout the house. It started in the daytime, it almost got nightly at one point, and it was just becoming so much. Like we were losing sleep, we weren't able to rest, and it got to a point that I just wasn't willing to do it anymore. And so me and Shauna sat down and did a full, smudging, full cleansing of the house, crystals, the lot, and just pushed everything out. Like normally, I'm usually happy for like positive spirits to stick around, but this time it wasn't just the negativity. I wanted all of it. I wanted the house to be quiet and ghost free. That was it. I was just ready for it. And so we did this cleansing, and it really seemed to work. It was genuinely amazing. It's some of the best night's sleep we've had in a long time. And while I did personally struggle with the quiet for a long time, it was amazing, and it was definitely what was needed. But in June 2019, almost to the day that the activity started in 2018, it started again, up and down the stairs, banging on doors, waking us up. And unlike last time where I sort of let it get on top of me, I just wasn't willing to do that this time. I sat down straight away and started trying to communicate with them because something wanted attention. There was a pattern emerging around this time of year. I wasn't quite sure why, but I was determined to get to the bottom of it. So I started trying to communicate, and I wasn't really all that successful to start with, but eventually I sat down, did a full meditation, really opened myself up to the spirits, then sat down and did a spirit box session and got so many responses. It's been so long since I had such a responsive session. I mean, to have that many replies come through, it almost felt conversational, but there was something negative there. And I'm not saying it was like a negative entity, like demonic, that sort of thing. That's all very dramatic. It could have just been a bit of an arsehole of a ghost, like someone who was there just to be disruptive and not very nice. I mean, at one point they actually said, "Up yours," when I started questioning them, and it's like I'm there really trying to be positive and to help the spirits that are present, and that was the kind of response I was getting from it. And they were clearly disrupting the others because I wasn't getting as many responses from them because of it. So I was like absolutely having none of it. I laid down the law. I said, not having it. This is a house of positivity, a house of light. You're not welcome with your negativity. Unless you've got something you actually want to say and a message you want to pass on, I want you out. And so I did a cleansing, but this time really focused in on that negative energy that I was feeling, because I was at a point where, for the first time in a long time, I was sort of excited to do the investigating. It wasn't a habit. I wasn't like with the cameras before where I was setting them up every night, even though I didn't want to. It was almost a habit, or like almost like an addiction. Like I just felt like I needed to do it. In this instance, I wanted to. And so I didn't want to push out every spirit as I had before. I wanted to just get that negativity out of the way so that I could help the spirits that actually wanted to communicate. And so, as I said at the end of that session where I promised them that I would come back and speak again, that's exactly what I did. Hello, is there anybody here? Anybody here that'd like to come forward and speak to me? I heard from a Philippa and an Adam before. Are you two still here? So I think I heard he's been kept outside. Is that right? Philippa, was that you speaking? Is there a reason you're here? Do you need help? That's amazing. How can I help? Do you need help crossing over or something like that? Somebody said before that he has been kept outside. Do you need help joining the session? That's right. I'm listening. I'm listening. Please, just tell me whatever you want. I can hear you speaking. You're coming through so clear. Adam, can you tell me how old you are? Were you 30 when you passed away? I know I've asked this before, but is it okay for me to ask how you passed away? Are you comfortable talking about it? OD? Like an overdose? Were there drugs involved? I am really sorry to hear it. It genuinely sounds awful. Brothers? You were brothers with who?
Mary. Often.
Who did? Who got married? Okay, it seems to have gone a little quiet. Is there anything you need to be able to speak through a little clearer, or give me more responses to be able to manipulate this? Do you need more energy? Okay, well look, it's getting late. I really do appreciate you speaking to me. As I said before, like, the more information I can get, the more you can tell me, the better chance I have of finding your details and being able to tell that story, and hopefully, help you move on. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming forward and speaking to me, and as always, like, I will try my best to come back and speak again soon. And so again, I found this to be such an amazing session, just full of intelligent, relevant responses. And not just that, but the frequency of them was amazing, because sometimes you can have a session where the spirits just aren't able to come through clearly or frequently enough to actually answer your questions. Or worse yet, sometimes you get a response to a question, but it's taken so long to come out that it's almost out of sync from the question that you originally asked. So like, 2 or 3 questions later, they respond, but by the time it's come out, it no longer seems relevant, and then it gets dismissed. And I've had this in the past where I've come to review a session and then realized, oh, that was an answer to that question, but by then you've missed the opportunity to do a follow-up, and that just didn't seem to be the case here. Like, they were coming through so clearly and so timely with their responses that it almost felt communicational, like conversational, and it wasn't everyone. You'll see these sessions as I post them that I generally cut out quite a lot, and it's because I personally don't like to watch a lot of dead air, just asking questions and getting nothing. So I just cut that stuff out. And sometimes I'll, like, mid-session, I will cut the camera to review something because I've heard something come through but not quite picked up on what's been said, and so I want to review it, so if it was relevant, I can follow up in real time rather than wait until after the reviewing process, if that makes sense. And so, unlike the last session, there didn't seem to be the negativity, that air of negativity about it. It was all positive. The spirits that were present seemed to want to respond and to communicate, and it really felt like there was potential here to actually make progress. And I won't lie, it filled me with excitement, and I just wanted to do it. And so over the next few months, even though I wasn't, setting up the nightly shoots, I was communicating quite a lot, and I got so many sessions. Now, there are so many that I won't be putting them all into this episode, but I have picked out the 3 that I think personally are the most relevant to my journey at the time.
What?
Oh, is there anyone there? Anyone around that'd like to come forward and speak to me? Who's that speaking, please? Was that Adam? Adam, is that you? Didn't quite catch that. Adam, if that's you, can you confirm it for me somehow? Can you say your name? That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Ready.
Adam, can you see me where you are? I've often wondered and I've asked other spirits in the past, but never really got a definitive answer. But we struggle to see you. We have to use devices like this one, the night vision camera and things like that. Can you see us clearly where you are? Now, we spoke about your brother before. Can you tell me a little bit more about him? Can you tell me his name or anything like that? He did mention a wedding. Is your brother's name Stephen? Is he still around? Is Stephen still around? Would you like to speak to him? Can I help with that? Was that wedding again? Did you say you missed the wedding? Did you miss your brother's wedding? Now, you will notice that Adam in particular became a very clear focus of these sessions, and it's because frankly he was there and he was responsive, and he seemed to figure out the device better than any of the other spirits that I was trying to communicate with. And not only that, but he was so responsive and forthcoming with information. Like, I was trying to help any spirit that was willing to give me the information needed so that I could research them and, and try to help them move on. And he seemed to be one of the few that actually gave me the relevant information. He was genuinely trying to tell me about himself so that I could do that research. I mean, I felt such a connection to him so quickly that at one point he was even greeting me by name. Hello, is this Adam? I just heard my name. Is this Adam speaking? Adam, if it's you, can you confirm it for me? Can you say something else?
Speak.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Adam, can you tell me a little bit more about your passing? Would that be okay? As I've said before, it'd really help. The more details that I have, it would just really help my research. If you tell me any details, that would be amazing. You mentioned an OD before, is that right? Was there an overdose involved? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful. Is there anything I can do for you? I really do want to help. I want to pass on any messages that you want. Is there somebody I can speak to? Anything at all? No. If there's nothing you need or need help with, how is it I can help you? I'm hearing these noises, we're having these sessions. Clearly there's some attention needed somewhere. Is there no way at all I can help? Now, to get a little serious for a moment, I've had my struggles with mental health, and I mentioned this in the update video before I started this series. Back before and during uni, I struggled with depression, and I worked through it. I did all the self-help stuff, the exercise, cognitive behavioral therapy, surround myself in people, tried to stay positive as best I could. And I'm sure anyone that's ever been through that will be able to attest to it, that once your brain has been rewired in that way, you get a new way of thinking about things, and it very rarely snaps back to the way it was. And so it is something that you will genuinely battle a few times in your life. It tends to come back, or at least that's my experience, and then you learn new coping mechanisms for it. But 2019 was just such a year for me. Now I'm a serial hobbyist anyway. I tend to get into stuff for a few months, bleed it dry of all the dopamine it can give me, and then move on. Now it'd gotten to a point that these hobbies were sort of cycling through but barely lasting a couple of weeks. And I think I found during this time, these sessions really helped a lot, because it gave me something to focus on that wasn't just eat, sleep, work, repeat. It had focus, it had purpose, it was positive in nature, and I think that was amazing. And I think that's why I threw myself so deeply into those communications, because I really felt like it was going to make a difference, and that the excitement that I was feeling for it was almost refreshing. But the problem was, as I started to feel lower and lower in myself, those sessions just got fewer and farther between. It is. It's actually 11 o'clock as it happens. Is it a little easier to communicate at this time? Do you prefer the sessions on a night? Is it a little easier to communicate at this time? Now, I've sort of tried to get this information before as well, but is there anything I can do to enhance the sessions, to make communicating a little easier for you? I have devices that can generate electromagnetic fields for you to draw on. Would that help?
Energy.
Did that say energy? Did you say energy? Would more energy help? Would using something like this EM pump over here help with the communications? Just give me a moment. I'm not closing the session. I'm just grabbing something. So that's the EM pump I was talking about. It's supposed to create an electromagnetic field that you can draw on. Does that help? You told me before you were 30 when you passed. Is that right? Can you tell me what year it was? Is that 92? And you say you passed in 92? Is this 1992? 1882? Now eventually these sessions would come to an end too, and I don't quite know even now whether it was because I'd left too long between sessions or if he'd just received everything that he needed from them and moved on. But I sat down to have another session in the kitchen and I was basically told that Adam wasn't around. I've had spirits come in and out in the past, but none of them really affected me like this one did. Now, when I found out he was no longer around, it's like all my will to do the sessions and, I mean, frankly, to do anything with the paranormal just went with him. Like, after that, I was just so done with it. I just didn't want to think about it at all, to be honest. Like, it didn't stop. Like, the house was still going through peaks and troughs, be active sometimes be quiet, as it always is. But I just didn't care. I just wasn't willing to give it that attention. I'd gotten a new job. I think last I was posting, I was working in a warehouse and stuff, and I'd got a new job in a lab as a lab tech, testing animal feed. Something just a little bit more rewarding than a warehouse. But that itself wasn't overly useful. And then 2020 rolled around, and well, we all know how 2020 went. It was not the most enjoyable of years as it is. And then mid 2020 came around, so about May time, and I started to think about the paranormal again. And this little pattern that I'd noticed about June time where things will suddenly ramp up. Now, it was quiet in May. There wasn't really a right lot going on. And so I bought a couple of hard drives, a new camera to replace the one that had broken, and I decided to set them up in June, just on the off chance that something happened. And as June rolled on, that anticipation grew, and I just got more and more nervous. It was so, the anticipation was so much that I almost lost sleep waiting for it to happen, because I was just thinking about it, like waiting for something to happen, but it didn't. Like, June just rolled on by, and then July started, and July 1st, nothing. July 2nd, still nothing. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was a coincidence that this had happened 2 years in a row, and it was actually just part of the everyday peaks and troughs. But then July the 4th happened, and we heard this. Now, 2021 would go on to be some of the strongest activity that I've experienced in my 13 years of dealing with the paranormal. And I don't say that lightly, because there were genuinely points where, for the first time, I felt like I just couldn't deal with it on my own. And you guys know me, I'm very independent. I learned to do the smudging and the cleansings, and I feel like I've had a very good grasp on things. And there've been high points, but I've always managed to sort of rein things in and stay somewhat in control of it. But there were points in 21 that it got so bad, and maybe it's because of my own declining mental health at the time, but I just didn't feel like I had that same level of control that I usually feel. Now, as I near the end of this backlog of footage and the end of my 5-year break, I think it's so important that this next episode be told right and in full, because there is so much to cover, and I think this little portion of my journey is so important that telling it in full is the only way to do it. So it may mean that this next episode is just a little bit longer than the previous 3, and I hope that's okay. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll post any and all activity as and when I get it.